Charles Purcell presents.
That's me, Charles Purcell. Hi, welcome to the program. Happy to have you, as always. We got some good things for you today. But first, in the studio here with me, as my occasional guest, we have Uncle Chuck. Hey, Uncle Chuck, how are you?
Well, I'm good. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy our little conversations.
Yeah, well, I enjoy having you here just to talk about the news of the day, see what's up in your life.
Sure, yes, right. And I enjoy seeing what's new with you as well. I tell you what, it's been quite a week, and I know you don't like to get too specific.
Well, yeah, that's right. The nature of podcasting, this will air on a particular date, a few days after we record it, and then, it kind of lives forever online, and I don't know when people will find it. So I don't like to talk too much about current events. I like to have a little more broad take on things, kind of a more philosophical take on things.
Yes, of course. Sure, certainly I understand that, of course. And I think what's been on my mind this week is, a famous person died, and it doesn't really matter who. At any given moment, there's always somebody,
Sure, right.
There are a lot of famous people in the world. There are politicians, and there's
right.
actors and actresses, famous people who've made a mark, in the world, and they die.
Sure. I mean, everybody dies.
Sure, right. And what I find interesting, and what I thought I'd like to discuss with you is, the reaction is kind of interesting to watch because it tends to reveal so much about us.
Oh yeah, I think I know where you're going with
more
this.
about us than the person we're talking about, right? Sure, because
right.
For example, someone might respond, and I'm talking again about social media. It's such a big part of our lives. Everybody wants to share their feelings,
right? And we do
when someone passes
on social media. Sure, of course.
And they tend to make it all about themselves. Recently, a famous playwright passed away.
Right.
And I noticed that I have some friends in the theater world, and actors especially, they started posting all about the shows they did by this playwright.
Oh.
And it was all about them, and I found that a little distasteful.
A little distasteful. Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
And yet kind of interesting. And then
yeah.
Another famous politician died.
Right.
And then they used that excuse to then, advance their own agenda and immediately label this person, this politician, as either a hero or a villain. And I wish we could have a little more, a little more nuance, don't you think?
Yeah, it does. It gets very black and white, and people join camps.
That's right.
Right away.
We do. We get pushed into corners, and rather happily, I might say. We're happy to just
everybody does it.
Put ourselves in one camp or the other.
Right. I mean, it's okay to make a stand, but things are more complex than that.
Well, no, that's right. Not that the truth of any particular matter is always in the middle.
Oh, no.
You and I have talked about this before, and we agree that's a lazy way of thinking.
Right.
Sure, certainly, yes.
Yeah, exactly. We agree on that.
It's not that we have to be in the mushy middle, but finding some nuance.
Right. But everybody wants to label this person.
Creating heroes and villains, I think, is a recipe for disasters.
Yes, I agree.
Let's just try in our lives to
find that nuance. Yeah, I agree, Uncle Chuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little more ready to explore the implications of things rather than just use every event as an excuse, you see, to advance our own agendas and to make it about ourselves. And
yeah, it's very revealing, isn't it?
To try to prove that you're right or wrong about something.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think it's a good opportunity to explore the issues that are raised.
Yep. No heroes, no villains, just complexity.
Well, I hope we weren't too vague in our conversation here. But anyway, that's what was on my mind.
Sure. No, I get it, Uncle Chuck. Thank you.
Well, it's always good to see you, Charles Purcell, and
good to see you too.
Have a wonderful show. I'll be listening.
Thanks, Uncle Chuck. Take care.
Hello, Carl.
Hello, Adam.
Lovely morning.
Yes. What are you reading?
It's the most fascinating article.
Hand me that piece of wood there.
This one?
No, the small one next to it.
Still working on your birdhouse, I see.
Yes. I should have it finished today.
Well, that's fine.
I'm sorry, you were saying about the article?
Oh, yes. It's the most fascinating article. It's a list of warning signs that your partner is a narcissist.
Ah, a list. So it's not an article. It's a listicle.
A what?
A listicle.
You're always using odd words. I think you made that up. Listicle. Indeed.
No. It's a thing.
If you say so. Anyway, I find that I totally relate to the points in this article. Is your partner a narcissist?
You're calling me a narcissist? And what's your evidence?
Well, here, for example, the very first item. You blame everyone but yourself for your problems.
I do not.
You certainly do, Carl. Take that birdhouse you're working on.
What about it?
You blamed the man at the hardware store for giving you the wrong size nails and were angry because you had to make a second trip into town.
Well, he sold me the wrong nails. I asked for a dozen 1-inch box nails, and he sold me 24 finishing nails.
It was just an innocent mistake.
Like hell it was. When I went back, he had to admit he was out of box nails the whole time.
Well, you should have checked the nails yourself before you left the store the first time.
Yes, I suppose. But you're missing the point. He sold me the finishing nails, thinking I wouldn't notice, just so he could make a profit.
There you go, saying profit like it's a dirty word.
It is a dirty word.
And then you lost your temper and shouted at the poor man.
He was trying to cheat me.
And now you're shouting at me.
I'm sorry, Adam. You just make me so angry sometimes, I can't help it.
And there it is.
What?
Item 2 on the list. Making me accountable for your own bad behavior. You can't help it because I make you angry. Classic narcissism. Item 3. You always believe you're right. The shoe certainly fits there, no doubt about it, Carl. Shall I go on?
You know, that describes you as well.
What?
Thinking you're always right. Let me see that. Ah, okay. Look at this one. Is your partner all about power and control?
Well, that's you, not me.
I don't want power for myself. I want power for the masses. You're the one who wants to accumulate wealth and the power that goes along with it.
I only want the wealth I've earned with my hard work and investment.
You and your capitalist buddies.
Each individual has the power of choice in a free market.
That's a fantasy and you know it. Power must come from true democracy. Your problem, Adam, is you don't trust people. As a matter of fact, that's on the list. Look, read it right here. Does your partner mistrust everyone?
You're the one who doesn't trust people. You'd let the state run roughshod over the individual.
You and your precious individualism. You are the narcissist.
Typical narcissistic ploy, accusing the victim of being the narcissist.
Ah, but you don't believe in victims. Each individual has the power to raise themselves up by their own bootstraps. Isn't that what you always say?
Don't change the subject.
Oh, hang your silly listicle. You are so gullible. You believe everything you read.
I believe in the free marketplace of ideas.
Free marketplace of ideas. Here, look at your magazine. There are more advertisements than anything else.
So?
It's not about ideas. It's about selling you cars and cigarettes and underarm deodorant and end-of-life insurance scams.
Still, this article is quite convincing.
Every article you read is quite convincing. Last week they told you that you were more intelligent because you keep a messy desk.
That's right, and if you'll remember also, because I curse, stay up late, and take cold showers.
Yes, I remember. As I recall, the article also said that intelligent people doodle, talk to themselves, daydream, and are annoyed by the sound of chewing.
Well, Carl, for such a cynic, you certainly remember it well. What's your point?
The list is inclusive enough to apply to anyone and everyone. It's like a fake spiritualist cold reading to convince you They're talking about you. Don't you see?
Again, with the mistrust.
Yes, when the articles are surrounded by ads for pimple cream, yes, I'm a skeptic. The last article you read had you convinced you were a social introvert.
No. I'm not the social introvert. You are the social introvert.
And now I'm a narcissist as well.
Well, according to this article, you are.
No, you are.
No, you are.
You are.
You are.
You are.
Stop it.
Hand me that box of nails.
It's a beautiful day. Perhaps we could eat lunch outside today.
Yes, that would be fine.
We have some sheep's pluck left over from last night.
Lovely.
And your mother's potato salad.
I'll be through here in a bit.
I'll go inside and get lunch started.
Yes.
Clear off your tools. Set the table in the shade.
Yes.
Be sure to wash up.
Yes. So I'd like to suggest a little experiment that we can do together. You know how they say there are two kinds of people in the world? I'm going to say, for our little experiment, there are two kinds of activities. I'm going to divide every activity into two camps. And by activity, I just mean anything you do any minute of every day. Just eating breakfast, brushing your teeth, driving your car, doing your job, talking with friends, whatever, playing a video game, whatever you happen to be doing at any given moment. So the two types of activities, the two camps I want to suggest are, one, activities that distract you from your life. You know, you're just being entertained in the moment, just kind of being distracted. So D for distract. And the other is E for enrich, activities that enrich your life. And that's where you're serving others, you're learning, you're doing something productive. It's not that one is good and one is bad. We need both. So D and E, D for distract and E for enrich. Now, there are 1,000 ways to slice this up. I mean, something could be both educational and entertaining, or one person's distraction can be another person's enrichment. For now, we're just going to keep it simple. Just go with me for this. So, examples. We'll take two extreme activities just for the sake of illustration. First activity, you're lying on your couch. It's 3 a.m. You're eating potato chips, and you're binge watching the final season of 2.5 Men. Okay, there's an extreme example. I think we can all agree that's D for distraction, right? Okay, we'll label that one D. Second activity. This time you're lying on the beach, beautiful surroundings. You're studying for your double master's degree in sustainable global energy systems and poverty reduction policy and practice. And then you hear a drowning kid yelling for help, so you drop your books in the sand, you jump in the ocean, you swim out, and you save her. So again, extreme example. Let's agree that if we're dividing all activities into two and only two categories, this one is definitely E for enriching. You're enriching yourself, you're enriching others, you're helping others, you're serving. Okay, so again, the D and the E, not that one is universally bad and the other is universally good. You can't always be listening to Chopin and serving homegrown organic gourmet vegan meals to your Wednesday night neighborhood comparative gender study group. Sometimes you got to just plop down on the recliner in your underwear with a bag of pork rinds and scroll on your phone while you're waiting for the pizza delivery. There's no judgments in this. Both are fine. No judgments, at least not yet. All right? So, again, these are extreme examples just to illustrate the distinction D and E. Most moments of your day will be pretty mundane by comparison. All right, so here's the experiment. It's in 3 steps. Step 1. Here's what I want you to do. At several random moments during the day, I want you to take note of what you're doing in that moment. Kind of like keeping a food diary, you know? Maybe you can set up your phone to, buzz you 4 or 5 times a day. More if you want. It's up to you. The greater the sample size, the better the results of the experiment. So at several random moments during the day, you're going to take note of what you're doing. And you're going to put it in one of the 2 categories, either category D or category E. Now, don't think too hard about it. Just jot down the activity. Use your notes app on your phone or a little journal or notepad if you still write. I don't know, does anybody still write? Writing is good. You should do that, by the way. Side note. So let's think of some examples. All right, your little phone dinger goes off and you're walking your dog. Okay, you make a quick judgment. Is that D for distract or E for enrich? I don't know, I guess E. You know, you love your dog, you're both getting exercise, but leave it at that. Don't think about it too much. Next time, your phone dinger goes off and you're driving to work, so you write down in your journal, driving to work. By the way, leave plenty of space between entries, maybe even a whole page. You're going to need that space later. So, driving to work. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty meh. Remember, the rule here is not to think, don't fuss, just quickly assign a D or an E. There's no right or wrong answer here. At this point, no right or wrong answers. Let's think. Okay, I'm listening to the morning zoo radio guys, so let's say D for distract. Whatever. Don't judge. It's perfectly okay to listen to the morning zoo guys. You don't have to be learning conversational French right now. All right, the phone goes off while you're sitting on the toilet. You know what? I'm going to give you a third option. Just write N for neutral. Just jot down, whatever colorful euphemism you prefer for sitting on the toilet. N for neutral. Don't rely too much on the N in your entries, but if you just can't be bothered, go ahead. It's important to note, again, there's no pressure in step 1. Let's do one more example. Let's say you're out having a meal with friends. You're feeling good, you're having a good time with them, and ding, your phone goes off, and you pop out the journal. Okay, I'd say easy. That's an E for enriching your life. Sure, spending time with friends. Now, the first step of this exercise is all about keeping it very simple. For the sake of this experiment, the worst thing you can do is to think and brood about every entry in your journal. You'll drive yourself crazy, and it won't even last past the first morning. You'll drive yourself nuts, so don't do that. Just keep it real simple. Also, you're going to resist the temptation of jotting down entries on your own. That is, without that little random reminder. That the randomness is important. Say you're helping an old lady across the street, and, well, you'd like to jot that down. But no, that's against the rules because it'll skew your results. So wait until you've been randomly chosen. Now, this might be kind of annoying. Like, oh, man, why did the frickin' alarm go off just as I was scrolling my ex's Facebook page, Yeah, you might get caught doing a few things like that. That's all right. So, quick journal hits, gut reaction, and then just out. Onto your day. Don't think about it. That's step 1. Very simple. Okay, now step 2. After a few days, again, the larger the sample size, the better. You decide if you want to go a couple days or a couple weeks. It's up to you. What you're going to do is you're going to go through each journal entry and again divide by 2. You already assigned either distract, D for distract, or E for enrich to each activity. Now for each activity, decide one of 2 options. In that moment, are you the creator or the consumer? In other words, are you buying or selling? To put it crudely, though I don't want to put this in monetary terms. By the way, I want to credit my friend Dunzo for this part of the experiment. You may have heard the old podcast, About an Hour with Dunzo and Brissell. He helped me with this part. He introduced me to this idea. So, for each of your entries, are you creating in whatever the activity is in that moment? Are you instigating the activity? Are you making it happen? Are you bringing something into the world? Whether for good or for bad. It could be either. There's still no judgment here at all. No judgment. Or are you not creating, but are you consuming? Are you taking in? Has someone else in the world created the activity that you are presently engaged in? Now, this is not quite the quick hit entry like before. You want to give it a little bit of thought. So let's go back to our examples. Walking the dog, we said E for enrich. You've made that decision. You're in charge. You're the creator of this activity. Okay, I think that's fine. Don't fret too much about it again. Next example, driving to work. Well, let's see. We assigned D for distract because it was, listening to the Morning Zoo guys, and you have to get to work, not really too many choices here. So I guess we'll say that you're the consumer on this one. Okay, my phone goes off while I'm sitting on the toilet. That's the next example. Definitely the creator here. Haha, yeah, that's funny. Some activities like that aren't going to matter too much. And finally, having a good time with your friends was the final example, right? You assigned an E for enrich. Sure, I'm contributing, but I'm only one of several people. We're at a public bar/restaurant. But you have to choose one, create or consume. I guess I'm more of a consumer on this one if I have to choose just one. Though there are a few different ways you could look at this. And that brings us to step 3. So again, let's review. Step 1, you assigned each random activity as either distracting from your life or enriching your life. Both are necessary, no judgment. In step 2, you defined yourself as either the creator or the consumer of each activity. It's perfectly natural that we do both in the course of our day. We create and we consume. Now, you can stop after step 2 and you'll learn something really valuable about yourself. Am I enriching my life through my daily activities? Am I contributing to that life as a creator of things and ideas? Or am I spending most of my time distracted from life, and am I mostly a consumer of other people's products and ideas? So here, let's go to step 3 now. Step 3, if you are brave enough to go here. Step 3 is to explore each entry in detail, to find the nuances, the contradictions, the layers. Again, step 3 is optional, but it can be very beneficial. So let's go back to our examples, our entries, walking the dog. So now we go beyond that singular moment to include the whole experience. So did you pick up your dog's poop? Did you say hello to the people you passed along the way? Did you stop and chat? Where did you get the dog? From a puppy mill or from a rescue shelter? Notice the neighborhood. Is it a lily white suburb or a diverse community of many colors? How do you feel about that and your decision to live here? You see already that you could go on and on and on. Each small activity holds 1,000, 1,000,000 opportunities for either enrichment or distraction, to either create life or consume life. You see where I'm going with this? All right, you got your journal out and you're looking at the driving to work entry. Well, could I walk to work? Or could I bike or take public transportation? And what about this job I'm going to? Does it fulfill me? Does it serve others? Does it fill me with stress? And what about these guys on the radio we're listening to? Are they really funny? Or are they just paid to laugh at each other's jokes so it sounds like they're funny? The list of questions is infinite, and each can be explored using the distract, enrich, and consume, create scale. Again, distract or enrich, and then the next level, either consume or create. Next entry, out for a night with friends. Well, what are we talking about here? How are we treating each other? Whole books and films have been made about the intricacies of these relationships. But you can dive much, much deeper into the sea of social and economic relationships you're swimming in. The song on the jukebox and the fashion that everyone's wearing, the culture that they reveal. The rich and complicated origin story of every single item on the 6-page menu. The power and economic relationships between customers, servers, kitchen staff, managers, owners. The sexual dynamics playing out in the room and behind every door. See, now, you don't want to be having these thoughts while you're there. I mean, you could, and I imagine some people do, but honestly, that would just drive you crazy. You don't want to be one of those guys, this neurotic observer of life who never actually lives it. I mean, my advice is to live your life, and then later with your journal, take the time to examine these questions. Now, step 3, as you might have guessed, you go as deep as you care to. Ask the questions. Weigh them on the scale. You'll complete this experiment with many more questions than answers. So, in conclusion, like I said, you don't want to be having these thoughts in the moment, drive you nuts. Later with your journal, take the time. The trick, though, if you do this, you will think about it in the moment, at least subconsciously, and I think it'll help you make better decisions about how you spend your time and money. Now, I've been saying all along so far that there are no judgments here. There's no good or bad. Well, I'm still going to be careful about that, but I am going to offer a couple of opinions. The first is practical, and the second one is moral. Okay, practical. There's plenty of research on the idea that having a rich life with purpose and meaning is the key to happiness. Having things and being entertained, well, it's great. It's well and good in the moment. But if that's allowed to dominate your life, it'll leave you empty and wanting. All the research says so. I mean, it would take hours to go through the finer points, but I'll leave it at that and encourage you to look into the social science on this. It's about as close to consensus as you're going to find. The point is, being a distracted consumer is really fun in small doses, and it's perfectly natural, but it's a dangerous and slippery slope. So that's the practical. The second opinion is a moral argument I'm going to make. If you find you're weighted too heavily on the distracted consumer side of the scale, I believe you're not only hurting yourself, but you're seriously hurting others. Because a distracted consumer only feeds the beast, so to speak. Again, you can please explore this beyond what I'm saying here. I'm giving just a quick kind of cursory presentation of this. But what I can say here is that those with power and money, the ones doing the selling, the ones doing the distracting, they're the ones who continue to accumulate power and money if we keep buying what they're selling, whether it's products or ideas. Income inequality will continue to widen. The environment will continue to deteriorate. The culture will continue to dumb down. Our politics will become more autocratic. I mean, I would argue that each of us, has a moral obligation, at the very least, to try to tip our personal scales in favor of creation and enrichment and away from consumption and distraction. As I've tried to make clear many times, occasional distraction will keep you sane. It's great. It's fine. But train yourself to be at least equally distracted by the moon. You can be distracted by the moon and the stars, the tree on the curb, the birds in the tree. You can be just as distracted by them as you are by the latest must-see television series that you feel you have to binge. And when you do consume, as we all do and must, at least keep it to a minimum and carefully selected, or at least a little more carefully selected. It's not snobbery. It's not elitist to choose thoughtful books or films over celebrity gossip and summer blockbusters. Have your guilty pleasure of consumption and distraction as you would have a small dessert, but try to make creation and enrichment your steady diet. So, start your diary. Let me know what you find. That'll do it for today. Thank you very much for listening, and thanks to Uncle Chuck for joining us in studio. The CBP Ensemble and music by Peter Donalds. Find this and every episode and more at the website charlesburcell.com. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter. You know how all that works. Listen and subscribe at Apple Podcasts or your favorite platform. Just search Charles Burcell Presents.